everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. For the Grue Rume Show today, I'm very honored and happy to have a really special guest on. She's 102 years old. She wrote a book called The Well Lived, and it's about all her secrets and happiness of being 102 and staying healthy. And she is a real life doctor too, and her name is Doc Dr Gladys Mick 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 MacGarey. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host that stutters, as you could tell with me stumbling over my words already. And I am the host of the Grue Rume Show. And my interview with the doctor will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned. Okay, once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your night or day, whatever time it is there, and coming on the show.
It's late afternoon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But still, yeah.
So like, the first thing I want to start out asking you is you wrote a book, you have a book out, the well lived, and you write about health and being happy, and inspired you to want to write the book.
Well, I've written other books, but the other books have all been medical books.
Hmm.
But the this book was important because it's why I do the things I do. It's about the juice, about the thing that makes me happy and makes me want to be able to do the medical work. You know, it's not just killing diseases and eradicating pain. I think that's kind of uh, unnecessary if you really can work with a person's inner physician and have them cooperating with you lovingly and have the pain or the suffering let you know what it is that it's trying to tell you, because our body, that's the way our body communicates with us.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you started out like you were telling me before we went live, we went on the show, like that you went to medical school in Philly and Philadelphia. Like how was it for you, like being a woman doc doc doctor, and like was it was it hard for you at that time?
Well, actually, Women's Medical College in Philadelphia was the only women's medical college in the country. And
Wow.
when we started medical school, there were 50 students who had applied. But when we graduated, only 25 of us graduated because the concept was that we had to be tougher and smarter and the rest of it than the guys. So half of us got flunked out. I
Oh,
got sent to
wow.
the psychiatrist two times because I was saying that I didn't think that this had to be such a war against disease and stuff. And so I was, you know, kicking my heels up about something that they didn't think was important. So anyway, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And like what's your diet like? Like what kind of food do you eat for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
I like food, and when it depends on where I am and what's going on. Right now, I like raisin bran and prunes for breakfast, and and then my day starts, and I do what's coming up, because I think it's really important. The most important moment in my life is right now.
Hmm.
Okay, I think it's really important to do what you need to do right at the moment that you're doing it.
Definitely, yes. And do you still get to walk around and exercise yet?
I have my bedroom on the second floor, so I go up and down steps and up and down steps. And I have a walker, and I with my walker, whose name is what's his name? Skywalker. Um, he we walk around. I try to get in 3,800 steps a day. So I
Wow.
don't always make it, but we try. And
Oh,
it's just
wow.
walking around here, because I can't see well enough to go outside very much. And since my eyesight is diminished, but there's nothing wrong with my insight.
Hmm.
So
Definitely.
a lot of things to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. And do you think walking is like a big part of staying healthy?
Life has to move. If life doesn't move, it dies.
You're
I mean,
right.
and our body is always moving. The heart's beating, our eyes are blinking. All of those things are happening all the time. But if we don't consciously have awareness of what is happening, and we don't take advantage of the fact that movement is essential for life, that life has to move. And if we can keep that in mind, then we find ways of moving.
Definitely, yes. And how how can someone embrace change? Like, how do they let go of the past and move forward and find the light in dark times?
Well, I had a very wonderful mother who was able to teach me some things because um, I was dyslexic. I was so dyslexic that I had to repeat first grade because I flunked. I couldn't read or write. The
Oh, wow.
numbers were all over the page. And but when I got into third grade, the teacher saw something there that was more that she recognized I could do something besides reading and writing, and that was talk. And so she appointed me class governor. And
Wow.
yeah, so this is in India, up in the Himalaya Mountains.
Oh,
So yeah, because I was born and raised in India. My parents were medical missionaries there. I grew up in the jungles of North India. It was wonderful. And I thought my life was idyllic until I went to school. And then I was the class dummy, and everybody, teased me, and the teacher teased me,
oh my.
and with all that. And so I was a good fighter. I learned to, you know, I had to learn not to do that because I found out I didn't have any friends. But when I was in third grade, the teacher, since I was the class governor, she let me take a play to the whole student body, and the name of the play that was on the stage was "The Frog Jumped Over the Pond." And so my mother made me a little frog suit and all that. And since I'd flunked the years, I was bigger than the other kids. I could actually jump over the pan of water. And, and I walked out on the stage really confident, and I was going to do this thing. But when I looked at the audience in the front row, my two older brothers were in the front row, and it threw off my pace. So instead of jumping over the pond, I landed in it.
Oh, no.
So I'm standing there on the stage in front of the whole student body. My suit is beginning to fade because it was cheap, dye, and I'm crying. I can't move. I'm immobile. I'm so
Well,
tired
yeah.
and embarrassed and ashamed and all the rest of that. My teacher had to come and take me off the lead me off. So that night at dinner, my brothers were telling the story, you know, and I'm giving them the devil's eye, and they weren't paying any attention to me. And finally, my mother says, "All right, boys, now you've had your fun. What can we do as a family to help Gladys if she ever gets into this kind of situation again?" And I have no idea what the family decided, but part of it was, I know that my mother said, if she can have people laughing with her and not at her, it'll be much better. And so we have, you know, I can tell you this whole dyslexia thing, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It just adjusts to how we're using things and doing. So there are many times when so really my balance is not, I can't depend on it. So there are many times when I've walked up to the stage and tripped and fallen. What I remember one time I walked up and we were having a big event for our foundation, and there were a lot of people in the audience, and I tripped and got right up and stood up to the podium and said, "Well, I hope no. I'm a drama queen." And finally, the one lady that introduced me came over and she says, "Dr. Gladys, will you please go sit down? The blood's running down your face and we're cursing the whole audience." So, you know, what my mother taught me was the reality that if you could get people to listen to what you're saying, a good way is to get them laughing before you ever get started. And I don't intend to do this laughter thing, but it pops up and it has worked.
Wow. and I was listening to like another interview you did, and you said life is like a seed. Like, what did that mean?
Well, you know, life by itself without love it can't do anything. It's like a seed in the pyramid. It has all the energy of the universe inside of it, but it can't do anything until a light and water activate it, and then the whole energy comes out. But life and love function together. They are one unit. I have what I call the 5 L's. And these 5 L's have helped me to put my philosophy into some kind of working way. And so the first 2 are life and love, but they're one unit. It's like a pregnancy. The mother and the baby are one throughout the whole pregnancy. The mother eats, the baby eats. What the mother thinks, the baby thinks. But when the baby becomes its own entity is when it takes its first breath. So it moves from the femifesting body of the woman into the manifesting, or whatever, whichever way it goes, of the person that is being born. It's that these 2 are one. The third L is laughter. Laughter without love is cruel. It's mean. It hurts people.
Yeah.
Families are torn apart. Wars are caused by. But laughter with love is happiness and joy. And the 4th one is labor. Oh man, I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
You know, this is just, and so on. But laughter with love, I mean, labor, what you want, labor with love is bliss. It's why you do what you do. It's what I do. It takes and you work 15 times as hard when you do what the bliss allows you to do.
Yes.
You drag yourself through, oh, I gotta, too many diapers, that kind of stuff. It's just too hard. But with love, wow, it's just great. And the fifth one is listening.
Okay.
Listening without love is empty sound, but listening with love is understanding. You can understand what you're saying
Yeah.
because you are listening to what you're really listening. You're not just letting the clong and gong go on.
Definitely. Yes. And so it, if someone is like not feeling right, like if they're feeling down and sad or angry, like how does a person find like that good positive and energy?
Well, if if you think about those things, then you'll find it. If you don't think about them, you don't find them. But sometimes you have to think. It's like, well, this is a funny story. My 99th birthday, all right, and I was still driving, so I was after the birthday party. I went to the grocery store to pick up some groceries and things. And as I was loading my car, an elderly gentleman came by and he says, "Oh, may I help you?" And I said, "No, I can do this." And he says, "Well, I'm 86." And I don't know where this came from, but I stood up and I said, "Well, I'm 99." And I marched off and sat down in my car and I thought, "You nasty old woman, you. That is terrible." He was just trying to be nice. And I'm sitting there beating myself up and I thought, "You better go into the grocery store and apologize." And I said to myself, "No, that just makes it worse. And then I got to think about how funny it was. These two old people standing there. I'm older than you. And I started laughing and I couldn't start my car. I had to sit there until I stopped laughing. It was so funny. Like these two kindergarten kids, in the
Oh my God, that's really funny.
I finally realized this is a comedy scene. I mean, you know, don't break it up. It's a comedy scene. It really is funny.
And and I I heard you saying like you have to listen to your dreams too. Like you
Oh, yeah.
dreams are like a very important part of you.
Yeah, they really are. It must have been, about 10 years ago, or maybe a little longer. For me, decades just do this.
Well, yeah.
So, anyway, I woke up this one morning because in my dream there was a huge crash. And I woke up and I thought, and I was kind of like sometimes you're in the dream, not in the, and out of the dream. I was both. And I saw myself in the high Himalayas in a valley. And on the right hand side, there was a young woman on the ground, just barely breathing, just flat on the ground. And on the left hand side, there was a man dressed in armor, the same position, just barely breathing. And the
Oh,
words came to me, these two forces have been fighting each other like their fists for eons. It's time they linked their fingers together and did what they can do together. And I thought, so I shook my head and I thought, yeah, that's great. So, but I had to talk to somebody about it. And I have a friend who's very intuitive and so on. So we
Yeah.
talked. And so I called her and I told her this, and she said, well, I think there's another word that we could use. She said, I've been thinking about this a long time. She says, there's the whole business of manifest. When we manifest, we climb Jacob's ladder. You take, you get a degree, you do
Mm-hmm.
your work, you get a job. It's climbing the ladder, and it's what we do. It's, but there's another word. She says that femifest. If you femifest, you have a a circular thing. So you can be up on the fifth rung and look down on the lower rung of the spiral,
Yeah.
and you know what's going on. I mean, that femifest aspect. And then I got to thinking about, in my dream, the woman was on the right-hand side, which is the masculine side of our anatomical process.
Okay.
And the man was on the left-hand side. For eons, we've been fighting this battle between us, and it is time that we joined our fingers together and did what we can do together, because we as women can intuit and do things sometimes that are very hard for men to understand. On the other hand, there's the things that we can watch and be able to do because they're able to understand that other aspect of it. So I think femifesting is a good word to put into my vocabulary and anybody else's.
Definitely. Yeah. Like, I never heard of it until you're you're saying it now. Like that was a word I never even heard of or knew of.
Yeah. It's a good
It is, yes. And like, what are I mean, if people read your book, like what are some of the seek this seek the seek the secrets of having good good health and a long life and being happy?
well, the secrets come one right after the other, and I get in the book. I give you ways of doing that. But these secrets, life and love, and all of that is part of this whole thing too. But the thing that is so important is understanding ourselves,
Mhm.
biggest understanding of ourselves. My oldest son is a retired orthopedic surgeon, and when he came through Phoenix and went on his way to Del Rio, Texas, where he was going to start his practice. And he said to me, Mom, I'm really scared. He said, I'm going to go into the world. I'm going to have people's lives in my hands. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can handle that. And I said to him, well, Carl, if you think you're the one that does the healing, you have a right to be scared, but you do have the job of doing the orthopedic work, which is awesome. I mean, you've learned how to do this. And if my body is broken somehow and I have a opportunity to go to an orthopedic surgeon who could fix it, that's great.
Yeah.
But after you've done your job, then as you watch with love the healing process, you contact the physician within the patient who is your colleague. And then the two of you become colleagues as the healing process goes on. And love is the great healer. So the thing that we've forgotten in the field of medicine is that you can do the orthopedics, and the healing may not go so well
Yeah.
because the patient hasn't really heard you, it doesn't understand what you've said, and you haven't done it with love. You've done it because you know how to do it.
True.
You know, so And when we really combine those, healing starts. And I really, really believe that love is the great healer.
Oh, wow. Okay. And from what I see a lot, like there's, I mean, especially if you're working every day, like there's people that get stressed daily, and like how stress is definitely bad, because like stress leads to death. It leads to sick people being sick. And how could we actually like train our minds to get the stress out, like to be happy and calm?
You have to be looking for it. If you I think that life is so dark and that's all there is, it's sort of like looking over your shoulder all the time at the
Mhm.
bad stuff. You get a stiff neck doing that, you know. If you can, you want to keep a stiff neck, keep it. But if you can keep moving, get your head moving, and start moving to the light and looking for the light, you'll find it. I sort of uh, picture like I have a flashlight, okay? And I'm walking on this dark path because believe me, I've had my dark paths. There are times when I've been stuck and I had help. So
Yeah.
I'm walking down this dark path, but as all I can see is one step at a time as my flashlight takes me. That's as far as I can go. So I'm going along. But over on the right hand side, I can probably see a little flicker. And if I add my light to that, that lights that light up and gives it hope and gives it light and allows it to see more than where they're stuck. So we need each other. One of the secrets is we're not alone. We're in this world with other people, and we need each other. We absolutely need each other. And as we work with each other, life goes on. See, this is not a theology, it's just my idea that when God, whatever God is to whoever I'm talking to,
Yeah.
when God created the earth, and it was beautiful. And I mean, he's really proud of what he'd done, and he's looking at this earth. And then he creates the human being.
Hmm.
And he says to us, you're the only living entities on this world that have free will and free choice. I therefore give you dominion over the earth. And we, in our arrogance, thought he said dominance.
Mm,
So if you have dominance over the earth, you could do anything you want to with it. If
that's
you have
true.
dominion over the earth, you take care of it.
Exactly.
And so, in the process of taking care of the earth, I think what's happening now is that so many people are feeling stuck and so on, but they're reaching for their true humanity, like E.T. He wanted to go.
Yeah.
It's this reaching for this true essence of who we are that is awesome. And we really are in the process of looking for what it is that helps us find that. And if we're looking for it, we'll find it. I, I don't just believe it, I know it.
Oh,
If you're
wow.
looking for it, you'll find it.
Definitely. Yeah.
But if you're not looking for it, you're not going to find it. It's back
True.
there.
Yeah, it's definitely in the back, getting a stiff neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because my mom, like, is someone like I always keep telling her to, like, look forward, because she's kind of stuck in the past, because she's like, oh, it was much, the world and life was better in the past, and the world sucks now, and I try to get her to not keep looking at at the past and try to find something in the present to be happy about.
Yeah, think about it. Look at what you're doing. You know, in the past, when I was growing up and in school and all of that, we didn't even have a telephone.
Oh
You
wow.
know, there was no way of communicating uh, other than writing a note and so on. In fact, my oldest brother met the lady that he wanted to marry, and so he was living in our house, which is up on the mountain, and she was in nurses training a mile down and 1,000-foot drop. So you know, but they
Mm-hmm.
had no way of communicating to each other. So what he came up with, because he wanted to date her, he married her, and they lit. Well, anyway, he we had these wonderful dogs, black Labrador dogs, and one of them was Laddie. And so what he did was he wrote a note to Ada about whatever it was they wanted to do, and
Uh-huh.
he took it and put it on the dog's collar. And he said to the dog, "Take to Ada." And the dog runs down the mountain and goes over to the school. And the nurses there are watching them. They yell, "Ada, your postman is here." And so she goes and she takes a little note from the collar and she reads it. And then she writes her note and then she puts it on Laddie's collar and she says, "Now take to John." And he runs up the mountain to John. It was that my mom's mantra sort of was make do. I
Yeah.
mean, if you find things that you can't do, find a way you can do it. Because if you can't, if you're not going to look for a thing, you're not going to find it. But if you look for it, you'll find a way to do it. You know, it's because you want to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I know.
Yeah.
And you said something about like what is aging in into health?
Well, you can eat, you know, I just talked to a friend the other day, yesterday it was, and she had gone to see a physician who all he did was doom and gloom. He said, you know, you've got about 6 years maybe to live
Oh my
because you have
God.
this, that, and the other thing. And so this is the way we will treat it. But, you know, I mean, the whole focus was on the disease, not
Mhm.
on the patient. So it was what we were going to do with the disease, and it was you were going to try to get rid of it, but you know this disease you couldn't get rid of. So you just, you know, you tell the patient that they're going to die probably in 6 years. Well, you know, the patient, you know, like it's like listening. If you're listening and that's what you hear, you know you'll kind of take it in, and the
Oh
physician
yeah.
within you is saying, "Yeah, well, I guess I got 6 years to live." But if you're really listening to yourself and your own inner being, you can say, "Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about," you know, or I know I've got. You can take what you want to and interpret it, and with love, make it what it needs to be.
Definitely, definitely. That's really that. Yeah, it's a really good way of putting that. Yeah, and like, how can a person like if a person wants to feel accepted in life and in jobs and relationships, friendships, like how does someone improve their life to be accepted?
The first thing is to accept it yourself. You know, I had to accept the fact that I had this dyslexia thing, and
Mm-hmm.
and then in my mother's terms, make do. Find out how it works for you, and if you can make people laugh, And you obviously can, as you know, it makes you happy to make people laugh. Okay.
Definitely.
So if you can share that with people, you break down barriers. Because when you're laughing, you can't be angry. You just can't, because the 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 laughter tickles your adrenals. Your adrenals are the glands that have the anger and hatred in them, but they also have life and energy and all of the other things. So
Oh,
if you laugh, your diaphragm tickles the adrenals and it gets them activated. So
oh,
if you're stuck someplace and you really are having a hard time, if you can find something to laugh about, you can get past that. It's like my being 99 years old, and telling that this kindergarten thing. I mean, that's really funny. So look for some humor in it. Really, there most everything, if you turn it a little bit, you can find some humor in it.
oh yeah, definitely. And like you're known as the mother for holistic
Yeah.
medicine. So
Yes.
for anyone who don't know what kind of medicine that is, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the concept of holistic medicine actually accepts the fact that the patient does the healing and that
Mhm.
we as physicians or healthcare givers work with that. But that means that there are many things that a person can do to enhance what a physician can do by accepting the process and allowing them to understand that they, in the long run, are the one that does the healing, that all healing comes from within. And if you don't accept that and you don't understand that you got to heal yourself, and the doctor may do just a very nice job of presenting what it is, and still you're too scared, or you have heard too many bad things, or you've accepted uh, uh, diagnoses and different things about, and you're hanging on to those. If you're hanging
Mhm.
on to doom and gloom, you see doom and gloom. But if
Sure.
you see that you're looking for light and healing, and you find some people or one person or somebody that makes you really think about the reality that life goes on and life has to move. And maybe you have a puppy dog that makes you understand that. Or maybe it's like I had a really good friend, and he moved into dementia. And so we had
Oh,
him in a home and he was doing okay. And so one day I took him a little plant to have in his window. And I said, James, now this is your plant and you have to water it because it needs water. And so I left it there with him. And the next week I came back and he met me at the door and he says, "This place is magic." And I said, "Oh, really?" He says, "Yes. Look." And he took me to the air conditioner box on the wall. And he says, "Now look at this. If I push this button, everything gets cool and my plant likes it." And he says, "Then I push this other button and it gets hot. My plant doesn't like it." I mean, this little plant in the window had given him something that I'd been, I'd known this, he was a friend for a long years,
yeah.
but here he was stuck. But the little plant, which was a living process that he had to take care of. And all of a sudden, again, he had a mission. He had something to live for. That's my first secret in the book, is that we are here as living entities, and we each have a special place. It's like this humongous jigsaw puzzle, and every piece has its own place. No other piece can fit that. I've tried it, you know. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. But if it fits, it just fits right in there. And you can do a 1,000-piece puzzle and
Yeah.
come to the end and you have one piece that's missing. You drive yourself crazy trying to
Yes.
find that one piece, because we're all that important. We're that important to the jigsaw puzzle of the world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. When you lose a piece of the puzzle and you're like, oh my God, where is it at? I need to finish this.
Yeah, under the table and
And I I I saw like you do med meditation too, and I saw like you tried to teach meditation to grade school students, first graders. How did it go when you were trying to teach students how to meditate?
they get it. They get it, you know. The first time, well, this is funny. We had first grade kids, and so we told them to close their eyes and be really quiet. And we went through our spiel, but then I opened my eyes to see what they were doing. And one of these kids had turned his eyelids inside out, and all the rest of them had too. And so we closed that class down and said, no, we'll come back tomorrow. But the kids, you know, they knew that if they could get somebody do something that they knew how to do and get
Yeah.
others to do it, then they they were doing what they wanted to do.
That's fun.
Have you ever looked at a kid who's done that? Or done it yourself?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Really?
Because that's like another thing that's a big part of like healing your mind too is yoga, meditation, like things like that could could definitely help help your mind get into a better place, right?
It helps connect your mind body. See, when we started the American Holistic Medical Association, it took us 2 years to decide how to spell holistic, because
Oh,
the core word that we were looking for was health, healing, and holy. So it had to be with an H. Holistic, as a whole thing, is a good word, but the word we were looking for was that inner aspect that allowed us to do the healing and drew us towards that healing process. And so that was different from what we were taught in medical school, and what's still being taught, you know, about killing diseases. I don't believe in war,
mhm.
and if we have a war on disease and pain, I don't think that's really the way to focus. But if we have a way in which we can use the amazing technology that has evolved now
Yeah.
in a loving way. I was talking to the leader of a hospital here a few years back, and he said, I don't know how we're going to incorporate chiropractic and homeopathy and all of this in the hospital setting. And I said, well, if you think that it's just the modality, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you take that modality and incorporate it with love, if you do it in a loving manner, you'll be surprised at how the patient will accept it, the nurses will accept it, and it'll become a living thing. So the whole concept of holistic healing is the use of this inner core within us, contacting as a physician, contacting the patient's inner core, and we become colleagues.
Wow. Yeah. And like what are some throughout your whole life, like what are some life lessons and truths that you learn from starting out as a doctor up until now?
Well, really, it is the essence that life itself has to move. And if we let it get blocked, we'd better work really hard to unblock it. That we're all in this together, that we're not alone on this planet. And the fact that everything is a teacher, everything that you see and do teaches us something if we're looking for it. But you have to be looking for it. And in the long run, when you do, uh, actually, the last secret is use your juice wildly. With this inner juice that you have, don't be afraid that it's going to run out, or like, if you have it in the bank and you spend it all, you can't spend it like that. You
Yeah.
have to use it because it has to move.
Yeah.
And in the process of moving, it stays alive. And in the process of living, you find your true humanity.
Wow. Yeah. And I always ask my guests this when they're on, like, are there any songs that you like listening to? Like what kind of songs get you into like a good mood?
Well, when I had my kids and they were little, the songs were like Mares Eat Oats and Does Eat Oats and Little Lambs Eat Ivy. It depends on where I am and what's going on, because the songs that I learned when I was in India, they're hymns, and
Okay.
the I have sort of a tape that runs through my mind that is has hymns on it, and they're either in Hindustani or they're in English, but it's kind of a constant thing. So if I hear one of those hymns, that tunes right in. But if I don't, it's still going on up there.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
there's things that I learned that gave me hope and gave me joy and gave me the understanding of what life is, and how amazing, absolutely amazing and awesome life is.
Definitely. Definitely. And we are in the season of Halloween. Are there any horror films that you've liked to watch?
I don't know. I've watched them, but I don't. I don't. But Halloween. That's funny because we when I had all six kids at home and everything, and practicing medicine on Halloween, we had in our house we had a spook's house, a
Oh,
spook
okay.
house, and all the neighbor kids came through, and we we had brought our our plastic gloves and put water in them and hang them so that when they came in, they and we had spook music going, and we had peeled grapes as eyeballs,
Nice. Nice.
and the kids. I heard one kid say one time, "I this can't be." Oh, we had macaroni blood veins. Okay, so one kid said, "This can't be," and one of my kids says, "Well, our parents are doctors, you know."
Nice.
So,
And
you know, we had Halloween was a great time. It happened to be my husband's birthday, and so we, you know, and the kids, they pretty much created this thing, asked us to, you know, but we went along with them, and the whole neighborhood. In fact, it wasn't. Must have been about 5 years ago. I was talking to somebody, and he said, "I still remember that spook house."
nice. And if fans want to follow your life, your book, and how to reach reach out to you, how can they find you and follow you?
gladysmacgarey.com.
Okay, and they could buy your book there and everything.
Yes, and look for living medicine because that's what I'm really. That's I. I'm really working towards having a village for living medicine
Oh,
created before I check out because, and I think that's maybe probably a 10-year plan or something like that. But I really feel that we as humans need to reach for our true humanity and find a place where we could do that. And where, you know, we'll grow the vegetables and things that we
yeah,
should grow and do the thing that help Mother Earth because we've really been mean to Mother Earth.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That would be really awesome to come up with something like that, like living medicine, like you said, and
Yes,
growing stuff, and it's basically almost like a farm life.
yes, yes, and there are farms that are doing this now, but
Hmm.
I'd like the Village for Living Medicine will start out with a loving birth center because I'm very passionate about how we bring babies into this world. It
Okay.
shouldn't be a cold place, it'd be a loving place. And so the birthing center, and then an aging into health aspect, so that the hospital isn't doom and gloom, but it's aging into health. And we'll have a research center, and it'll be an education center. But the center of it all will be the sanctuary, which will have no walls and no roof.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time, Al. It was so amazing to chat, and I I love listening to everything you said. So thank thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate have a, a place that, no, even the fact that I can do it is awesome. In this, you know, it's just absolutely awesome. So thank you.
Yes, definitely. Of of course, definitely. Well, have a great rest of the day and night. And again, thank you so much. And I look look forward to see what's coming next.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And